Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love The Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned. My friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You're watching Creative Spotlight, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We're doing a very special show for you this Tuesday, and we have a crap ton of people here with us today. As always, Mr. Phillip, how's it going, my friend?
Doing pretty good, Leo. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, always welcome. Brandon.
Hey, I'm doing well too. Thanks for asking, Leo. I'm doing great.
Phillip, hey, who'd you bring with you?
We got Barrett from the Dark Discussions News Network as well.
Hey, everyone.
Very cool. And you brought some guests there, Phillip. Who'd you bring?
Well, I did. We have Mark Belasco, who is the man behind, I guess, IndieScream Film Festival, but Film Festival in quotes because it's not for awards. It's to help promote some really great films. So, Mark, why don't you let us know what's going on?
Terrific. So that's exactly right. You know, the idea of a festival and a competition was something I wanted to shy away from with this, and so did American Media Society, who's working on the event with Adler and Associates Entertainment. This is really because it came to fruition because we have some really terrific horror films, but the space has gotten so competitive that we wanted to either breathe some wind into their sails. Some of these events that you're going to see during IndieScream have not been released, and some have. So some of them are a real treat because you'll be getting a first look at them, kind of a sneak preview, and some of the other ones will actually be some films that are released. Most likely they're only released to rent or to buy at this time. So one of the cool things about this event is you'll have the opportunity there'll be a live chat along with the filmmakers throughout the event, and as well as there'll be Q&As for this. Pretty much everybody that's on this panel will be doing a live Q&A. So it's really an exciting way to kind of do a deep dive into indie filmmaking and to horror filmmaking. And get behind what these filmmakers have done, their concepts, and to share the experience with them. And it will be beginning this Thursday and running for a week long. And I think it will actually be available to the 17th. So you'll be able to, even though it's live, you'll be able to go ahead and watch it again or rewatch it, and so on. And that's IndieScream .in.live. There's no .com. People get confused about that. So it's IndieScream.in.live. And the first filmmaker that we'll be bringing on, one is in the UK, the other's in Austria, but they work together to make this terrific horror comedy called There's No Such Thing as Zombies, which I just actually sent you the link in the chat for the trailer. I don't know if there's space for it or not, or if we could watch it after. What do you guys prefer?
Well, let's see. We'll start the discussion, and I'll see if I can bring it in. And actually, I believe Eddie hasn't popped back in.
Oh, okay. All right. So why don't we then go ahead? Michael, is it okay if we wait for Eddie and go ahead and start with Shannon from Shadim?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, terrific. So Shadim is a really interesting horror film, or psychological horror, and it's based on, well, I'll let her tell you what it's based on, but she comes from a very strong storytelling background, including a very prestigious reality TV background. And that really has served this film well. It's the kind of thing that when you watch, it's like watching or looking through a window, into a world and really getting a look at this. And I'll let Shannon take it from here because I don't want to steal too much of her thunder because but because I could go on and on. But she'll kind of tell you where it comes from and where it all stemmed from. But it really has the feeling of something real and taking place at that time.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Great.
Yep. So, like Mark said, I am one of the executive producers of Shadim. My business partner, Jairus Cobb, unfortunately could not be here today because he is actually researching another possible horror film content. So yeah, Shadim is a movie that started off just as an idea and just blew up into a feature film without any planning or any preparation. We had a window ready to go and we did it. So it was an amazing experience. I have heard that people get very engrossed in it because it does feel real. It is real. Everybody in the movie is a real person. We do not have a film crew. The film crew that you see on camera is actually the film crew filming the whole entire movie. the family in the movie are a real family. The relationships between everybody are real. So we decided we wanted to take our talents that we have, in the reality TV world, all the experience that we've had in the 20 plus years, to translate it into a feature film, because I mean, who doesn't watch reality TV nowadays? So, but we wanted to make it feel, we wanted it to be as real as possible. And so it is real.
Now, one of the cool things, Leo, about this film here is Leo lives out in Groton, Connecticut, so he's on the opposite side of the state. But this film takes place in Danbury, Connecticut.
Yes,
Cool.
the Jairus Cobb, who is the director and also executive producer, grew up in Danbury. The family lives in Danbury, so you can look them up on social media, and there they are.
I'm going to have the trailer ready probably in about 2 minutes here. So as soon as it's ready, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
This trailer is very intriguing.
Yes.
Really like it.
So I don't know, Philip, if you want to cover your eyes because you said you don't like watching trailers.
Well, I decided to watch it yesterday after I spoke to you. So I've seen it, yeah. But Barrett said it was so good. I had to check the trailer. So I betrayed my wishes, but it is good. It looks really.
Sounds
good.
like it was worth it though, Phil. Right?
It sure did. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All
yes.
right.
It looks like a good film.
Good. That was the goal of the trailer. So, and the trailer does definitely translate into what the movie is. It is not it's not like a horror film where somebody's going to jump out, or like there's a guy in a mask, stalking people. It is much more of a psychological thriller. We want to get in the head of everybody who is watching it. So the goal is for the once it ends that you don't want to go to sleep with the lights on.
Now, we do have a little summary here of the film, and what it is, it says here, when the well-liked Sam family disappears, an old friend of the family gathers his film crew to find them. Their search leads them to upstate New York, where the Sam family has been living in isolation, and they discover something shockingly sinister. So that's a good little IMDb wiki type thing that doesn't really spoil anything, and that's perfect. So.
Yep. Any other questions while we wait?
Brandon, I know you got a question. Don't lie.
I mean, no. I mean, I do have questions, but it's more along the lines of I can't really be like, so what happens? I mean, I'm gonna see the trailer very soon, and clearly that's meant to whet my appetite for it. And much like anybody watching the stream now, I'm in anticipation of it. But I'm a big old horror nerd anyway, so you're dangling a carrot right in front of me. I'm just waiting for it to pop up.
Yeah, go on, Mark.
One of the things I can tell you is at the time, or right before the time that Shannon brought this to us, it was pretty interesting because I had a bias against mockumentary style movies because I was just being inundated with them, and I felt like a lot of filmmakers that didn't have any experience were just like, hey, I'll just make a mockumentary, like Spinal Tap. Like, it's like, yeah, well, those guys kind of knew what they were doing. They're not, they weren't just winging it. But Shannon's background, and I was actually a big fan of the reality series Pawn Stars, with the pawn shop in Vegas and people bringing in guitars and everything else. And that was one of the series that I felt really real. It didn't feel staged like some of these other stuff. I mean, it felt like it was all in real life, and that was really what intrigued me because I said, "Oh, let's take a look at this." And as I mentioned before, to what a successful job they did pulling it off, that really translated in a way that I hadn't seen before in mockumentaries. I mean, I can't stress enough that when you take the time to sit down and watch it, you're going down a rabbit hole for the ride.
Indeed.
Well, that was a goal, and that's actually Jairus and I have worked together for over 15 years. We were both. He was a co-EP director of Pawn Stars, and I was director producer of Pawn Stars, and we've done multiple other things within those over 15 years. But that was definitely one of the places where we started working closer together on our own things. So we had another show that the fun story about Shadim for me personally, as the producer and executive producer, is we were in the middle of filming a series for Animal Planet, and we got a 2-week period for the family to be available to film. So I had 2 weeks to prep the movie and 2 weeks to film the movie because we only had that little opening. So it was it was really fun.
Now, Shannon, Animal Planet or not, Shadim is not an animal. What is a Shadim?
Shadim is a demon based. It is. I'm gonna just quote it: spirits or demons in Jewish mythology. So in this movie, we don't see Shadim. Maybe we do see Shadim. I don't know. But it is an evil being that gets passed along from generation to generation.
Ooh.
Well, we do have the trailer ready now, so I'm going to pull this up. Here we go. And I just want to remind everybody watching or listening, if you check show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening, you can find all the information for IndieScream's. And here we go.
Did you notice anything weird happening at the house before they went missing?
Hello? Hello? Is there something you're not telling me?
A perfectly normal guy. What is he running from? Most families don't just disappear.
Something fucking died now.
I knew you were crazy, Dad.
Something mysterious is going on with my cousin and his family. Find my cousin.
Well, I'm on board.
That's how I felt when I saw it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
There you go. I don't think I need to say any more, right?
Yeah, Mazel Tov. I'm ready for it. I'm here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what we want. So
Nothing like a kid just creepily popping up in front of a camera, like staring at dead. Like that skeeves me out something fierce. So good job.
that's really him too. Those are not actors. That is a real family.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Well, so if people want to be able to watch the movie, they can watch it at IndieScream's. And so how's the process work? So people buy tickets and they're allowed to watch so many movies, and when is this going to be showing?
Calvin, you want to take that?
Yeah, so this Halloween horror spectacular includes 46 films and shorts organized into 7 different categories. So any of the users and fans that go to IndieScream.in.live can buy one of 4 types of packages. You can buy a single film package that gives you access to the one film that you choose as VOD throughout the 3-week period that you can watch whenever you want, as well as a ticket to the live special event where either the director will be in the sidebar chat or there'll be a live Q&A with the event itself. So that will be a scheduled viewing of the showing of the movie as well. You can also buy a second package, which is a world premiere film package, where there's 11 of these 46 films that are going to be world premiere during this showcase, and that's going to be similar to the single film. You're going to get that one film for the duration as a VOD. You can watch whenever you want, as often as you'd like, plus a ticket to the live special event where there will be a Q&A where the director will be jumping into the sidebar chat. The third type of option you can buy is a category pass, which you can buy, for example, the classics or psychological killers, and you get a whole basket of movies. Typically, there are somewhere between 4 and 7 or 8 movies in a category, and you'll be able to get all those films in that category as VOD for the entire period, as well as a ticket to the special event for all of those films. Or you can buy the All Pass, which gives you a unlimited pass to everything that's in the program for the entire spectacular.
Very cool.
Nice.
I think one of the
I'm a full experience guy, so that sounds like right up my alley. I'm a glutton, so I'll probably go nuts with that. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but you can buy these tickets at IndieScream.in.live and from any browser. So you don't have to download any apps. We made it really easy for everybody. You can watch it on any device, whether it's your mobile, your tablet, your laptop, or you can even cast it to your big screen. So after you watch the first showing, you can scare yourself and watch it in a closet in your phone if you want.
Yeah, and you know what's awesome about this too is as you said, Kelvin, you can purchase it and you have like over 21 days to view it at your convenience, which is absolutely huge.
Yeah, and watch it multiple times.
Well, and especially if you order one of the bigger packages and you get so many films, you can't watch them all in like 3 days. So you actually have 21 days to do it.
So not with that attitude, Phil.
The other thing is for your viewers all over the world, it is truly global. So anywhere, any device, and you will be able to watch it, as you just mentioned again, Philip, until the 17th. And if need be, there may be an opportunity to extend it, because the whole purpose of this is really to promote the films and for the fans and for the filmmakers to get the most out of it. Rather than that normal kind of sense of competition, it's really to celebrate this genre and in indie films.
Yeah, I think you really made it well customer focused by having so many different packages, and pricing is reasonable. It's just a really great thing you're doing.
Appreciate if you want to see the full lineup, when you get to IndieScream.in.live, there's a tab called Ticket Packages. You can click on that tab and it lays out every single film, which packages they are, as well as when the live event for each film is going to be broadcast. So you can run across the ticket packages and get all the information there.
Very cool. This is one thing that's been very rare during the pandemic is, a lot of people have tried these virtual conventions and a lot of them failed. A lot of them tried to be like just one big money grab. Hey, we're going to bring this famous person on and, we're going to charge you twice what we normally charge at the, at the real con. So it's, I totally applaud you guys for, putting something really well, putting it together really well. It seems like it's really easy to use and it's, this is bringing the genre together,
Yeah, this looks fairly comprehensive. This is a almost literal smorgasbord of movies here. This is
a horror enthusiast
I'm looking at the site right now. Like I went right to it as you started describing the packages, and I'm like, oh well, I think I know what I'm going to be doing with quite a fair bit of amount of my time. Like, this is it. Good stuff.
And Leo, as you said, the intent here is a celebration of the art and the incredible stories these directors and filmmakers have put together, and the collection that Mark has been able to put together. So we want to make it easy for people to jump in and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you encapsulated the film festival feel. And for those of you watching, if you've been to a film festival before, or if you haven't, it's an amazing experience. Now, are you going to have like some sort of chat feature where people can speak to like the filmmakers during the showings as well?
Absolutely. So on every filming or every showing that you see, there's going to be a sidebar chat that any fan can jump in and participate on at any time. So when you watch the VOD version of the film, you're going to see everybody's chat from the entire 21 days. So there could be some spoilers, so be careful. And you can also expand it to full screen if you want to just envelop yourself into the film itself. That's really your choice. It's a very easy toggle on and off for the full screen if you want. And then on each of the special events where there's a showing that's live, someone from the film, either the filmmaker, the producer, the director, will jump into the chat, and you'll be able to ask questions of them in the sidebar chat. And there's 11 of those special events that you can see designated with Q&A, where at the end of the film showing, the film director will actually jump into a live Q&A like we are doing right now. And we're going to be taking questions from around the world of the fans, and they can ask in real time any question they want.
Very cool. Well, I know we have a bunch of people here, so we'll move on to the next film maker. But before we do, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you were to give, an aspiring filmmaker some advice for just wanting to start out and get their film career going, what would you give? And the other question is, was there any issues filming in Connecticut that some people may know about?
Well, for aspiring filmmakers, I think the biggest thing is don't give up. I know in my experience when I have worked with, young adults just graduating school or trying to get into the door of filmmaking or production, they expect that it's just going to blow up immediately. But the main thing is just stay passionate and stay with it, because it's hard work, but don't get discouraged. If we want to make movies, of course it'd be great to make money, but we like making movies or any content because we love storytelling. So my main advice is, if you love it, you're gonna love it. Don't expect to be like the next Scorsese, because there's 30 million people trying to be the next Scorsese. Let's see. In Connecticut, there weren't very many issues because we actually filmed mostly in the Catskills. But the main thing that I had to learn very fast because of the 2 weeks that I had, is when you film with children. That is a long, long process to get approved. So if you do have children in your film, be ready for a lot of paperwork. Definitely. And it depends on the state. So yeah, I made friends with a lot of organizations I didn't know existed. But that is definitely one thing as the executive producer, as the person putting everything together, that I learned quickly with the details.
Very cool. Yeah, you don't think about that, especially now with stories coming up with issues with child actors and how some have been treated, unfortunately. So it's good that there's definitely unfortunately a lot of paperwork, but good for it as well. Yeah, and who knows, it might actually get more intense considering the things that are going on in the film industry right now. So, yeah. But I had to learn very fast just because of the situation we were in, which I don't mind, but the more time you can give yourself to prep, the better. that is definitely my takeaway. But I don't think it affected the product, but it affected my mental health. Well, going by the trailer, it looks phenomenal, so we can't wait to check it out. And we wish you all the best of luck with that. And totally. And for those of you watching, like we said earlier, just make sure you check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And head on over to IndieScream.in.live. And we have your trailer for that. We're going to play that real quick while we switch up guests here. And Shannon, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
Either Facebook or Instagram. Just look up Argle Bargle Films. That is the easiest way to get in touch with me because I manage it all.
Makes sense.
But yes, that is the easiest way.
Cool beans.
All right.
Thanks, Shannon.
Very cool. Okay, so it's not No Such Thing as Zombies. That's the next one.
That's
right?
it. That's the next film up. There's No Such Thing as Zombies. I did want to bring to your attention that we did push the opening date to Thursday. So if you see the artwork and it says the 25th, some of the new artwork hasn't circulated around yet. We did that really to accommodate. We moved it and then we extended it to make sure that people have access to the content for a long enough time to really enjoy it. Because I think like Barrett had mentioned earlier, Brandon had a great comment. But I didn't know how everybody's just going to sit there and watch movies for 7 days straight, and not leave the TV.
I have no problem with looking like Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange by the end of this whole thing. Just no qualms.
So, well, you can do it. We watch it on a loop then.
Sounds good to me.
So the next film that we're going to bring on, unfortunately, Eddie's having some connection issues, but There's No Such Thing as Zombies. Michael's here with us. He's the film's producer. I did not slack you. I sent you the link to the trailer, which I don't think I've even seen yet. We literally just got this film in. They just finished it. So this is probably a rough trailer. But from what I saw, the rough cut and everything they've been showing me along the way, this is really an interesting film. I'm gonna let Michael take the helm here because I don't want to give too much away with this one since it is a preview and it's never been seen anywhere. I mean, literally, I think we just got the screener like 3 days ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the film is about. I mean, the story behind the story is. What if zombies were in the real world? Would we believe in zombies? I mean, we don't even believe in pandemics, so how would we believe in zombies? So,
great point.
So, and based on that, it's of course a love story.
Okay.
It's just a three-way love story, and one of them is a zombie. So, that's pretty much the story.
Very cool. So we're going to do something a little unique here. I'm going to try to get the trailer going. It's taking a little bit to download, so I'm just going to do a quick screen share, and that way we can get the trailer going. And just a heads up, people can hear you during this. So here we go.
We at the ZIA are not primarily concerned with hunting and shooting zombies. But to make sure that the appropriate steps are taken to prevent zombification. If we at the ZIA approach it properly, it should prevent the very occurrence of the undead rising.
Oh, you've got flux capacitor.
Are you living in a movie? There is no such thing as zombies.
Now, Mike, so since obviously based off of the trailer, folks will understand that this is a horror comedy. Would you say that's correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And is this a post-apocalypse or is it just zombies exist in the modern world?
It's not yet post-apocalypse. It's like the outbreak,
Pre-apocalypse.
Pre-apocalypse. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you can spin the story further, and then eventually the apocalypse will happen. But it's not there yet.
Now, are you a big fan when it comes to genre and horror films, specifically with zombies? That's why you guys chose to go that route.
I wouldn't say specifically, but I've seen tons of zombie movies, like really good and bad ones, and like on one hand there's always George Romero, of course, But on the other hand, there's all these Italian zombie movies from the 1980s that didn't make a lot of sense, no matter how you look at them. So I'm really, influenced by all of them to some degree. So you might find some Easter eggs to some of these movies.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Probably lots of people trying to pinpoint whether or not. Oh, they must be fans of Fulci. I wouldn't be surprised. That's great, though. I mean, this looks like it could be a lot of fun.
I hope it is. Yeah.
I dig it. I dig the idea.
Awesome.
The love triangle aspect really, I don't know how much you want to give away about what that is, Michael, but it gives a tremendous amount of comedy to it. Because it really, one of them is a zombie, and it's impinging tremendously on her new relationship because she feels bad for the zombie. And the guy's like, it's just the concept and the way they took it really, it's just off the charts in terms of humor.
Thank you.
A woman's pity turning into what seems to be genuine emotion. That's my wheelhouse. That's how I got my wife. I'm right there for it.
Right.
And the trailer actually shows Lynn Lowry has a role in the film. How about that?
Yes, she does. Yeah. I mean, that came as a surprise to me, even because some days he just wrote to me, "Yeah, may I be in your movie?" And I'm like thinking, okay, she's been in a George Romero movie. That is actually pretty great. Yeah, come on over.
How can I say no?
Exactly. I mean, you wouldn't, would you?
No. Mark's talking about the triangle, and as you have too, Mike. And let me read the summary because it kind of explains it a little better without spoiling. In a world where the media is unsure how to report about the zombie outbreak without angering the sponsors, Carlotta invites her ex Paul back into her house, ignoring the fact that he's actually a zombie, much to the dismay of her husband Cullen, who had, unbeknownst to Carlotta, killed Paul in the first place. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great.
What better love triangle can you have, right?
It sounds like something. It sounds like something David Chase would write. Like these strange circumstances, except it's a zombie. It's like these extenuating circumstances. Like he's actually the guy who killed him.
That's interesting for sure. That is quite the triangle.
Right?
Sounds more like a fucked up gun, but sure thing.
Oh my god, that's awesome. So this movie's going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. So definitely something I'm looking forward to checking out. That's for sure.
Yes, please.
Definitely has a feel. What was that movie? Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
The
Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that one actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's cute. I think yours is gonna lean a little bit more towards the mature side of things, though, for sure. I honestly didn't get that feel, so I'll put that out there. I honestly really dig the fact that he got in the car and he's like, out of everything too, he's just like, you've got a flux capacitor of everything going on around him.
Yeah. It's the flux capacitor that brings on the most.
Holly says, am I the only one watching y'all? Awesome. Actually, Holly, we got a ton of people watching because we're going
Hi, Holly.
To a bunch of different places, including Hellfire Radio, our partner, which they have over 80,000 viewers. So a bunch of people watching and a bunch of people will be watching. So this is going to be a fun show. Already is. Okay, so sorry, I'm multitasking here. Want to remind everybody, head on over to indie.in.live. Right? Did I get that right?
That's right. You got it.
IndieScream.in.
Yeah, you've got the screen.
.live.
I know.
So it's IndieScream.in.live. And from there, you can find the different packages along to figure out how you'd like to watch the movies. Different levels, different tiers. I myself will likely be getting the full package tier so I can see anything I want.
Me as well.
Yeah, and the price is fantastic. I mean, to see 46 films for that price, well, that's unbelievable.
I do get a kick out of the two feature price, $666. Nicely done.
That was Mark's idea.
Yeah.
That's
That means
awesome.
two things, gang.
I was trying to program it so there would literally be like
So you're the
66
devil.
hours and 6 minutes of programming. But
So you're the devil, is what you're telling us.
yeah, trying to get it. But one thing I forgot to mention, Calvin, is are the tickets on sale now? And do we have a discount rate going on still? Or does
it is up and live, and people are buying tickets. I can see the counter going right now, so join the fun. Mark, I will leave it to you. If you want to create a discount, I will have our team create one just for the listeners of this program right now.
Yeah, why don't we create a discount code for them and then give it to Leo, and he can post it on his podcast.
All right, Leo,
where
you're
your
the
podcast
man.
is posted.
Sounds good.
Great.
What do you want the code to read, Leo? What's the code you want?
Yeah, let's do Dorks Rule.
Dorks Rule?
Dorks Rule.
One word?
One word, yeah.
One word, Dorks Rule. Okay, all lowercase.
And just because Brandon's going to want everyone to buy the premium pass, we're going to make Dorks Rule work for the premium pass so that everybody can get in.
Very cool.
And Mark, how generous are you going to be today? 10%?
I don't even remember what the price was. So
I think it's $29.99 for that one.
I know it's $29.99 because I'm looking at the screen right now.
I just
I was literally about to click buy, and then you were like, let's give a discount code. I was like, well, then let's hold up a second.
But Brandon, you didn't pull the trigger yet, did you?
No, I was.
I'm glad I waited until today.
That's awesome.
This was like the movie Failsafe. All of a sudden, I was like, oh no, pull back.
Great. So why don't we do 20%, Calvin?
All right, 20%.
Yeah, and just make sure that they don't get confused with the code. So it's say it again, Leo, and it's one word, all lowercase.
One word, all lowercase, Dorks, DORKS, Rule, RULE.
And just we made it even easier for you. You can put capitals anywhere you want, and it will still work. You can capitalize the dork. You can make them all caps to really make sure everyone knows it's Dorks Rule. So anytime you write in Dorks Rule, you'll get 20% off the top package.
Okay. And
he's a
we use
computer
that
engineering
because,
prodigy.
when will that be active?
I will give you the heads up. I'm having it built right now.
Okay.
Wow, and I can't even tell that you're doing anything. That's awesome.
It's like a good horror movie. I have like 15 hands underneath the screen right here.
Like he's a magician. We've never met before, have we?
And obviously, we chose Dorks because we're on the Dorkening Podcast Network, a little network I run where we have over 40 shows on the network. So a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Wanted to get that plug in there because I know I'm not going to be able to get it in later.
There you go, buddy.
So Michael, where was this filmed?
It was filmed mostly in London, actually. Mostly in the then apartment of Eddie, the director. So that was, yeah. I mean, we needed an apartment. They had an apartment. Great.
Yeah, it sounds like it lined right up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Did you find it easy filming throughout London? Were there any difficult portions of getting through that?
No, actually, I mean, it's not in central London, but a little bit, farther in the outreaches. So I think, no, actually, they didn't disturb us at all where we were filming. So that was cool.
That is kind of what I was wondering, because I know it's not the biggest place in the world, so a lot of gawkers and
no, but this was a rather quiet neighborhood, so they were like leaving us in peace. And then we had the Back to the Future DeLorean in front of the house. Everybody was just, we leave them in peace. They're cool guys. Everybody knows the DeLorean, don't they? So, that works. That's a way to make friends.
Oh yeah, that's like nerd crack right there.
And if somebody got really, really like, annoying, we just said, hey, you want to take a photo with the car? And everybody said, yeah. So then,
That's a
just
good
a good
way to
ride
deal with it. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, did you have to rent the DeLorean, or do one of you guys own it?
I wish we would own it. No, it would be much too, because these cars, they don't drive very good, so it would be much too expensive. So no, we rented it. Yeah, that's actually a company. Oh shit, I should plug them, but I've forgotten what they're called. So, but they actually have like a perfect replica of the Back to the Future DeLorean, and so we just rented that one.
It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What a fun thing to have in an already fun idea for a story.
Yeah,
Like, just putting hats on hats. I love it.
Yeah, it was just it was just a spontaneous idea. Like, yeah, we could also let's just get that car too. I mean, we needed a car. Might as well be, the DeLorean.
I can dig it, man. It's like, why not?
Yeah,
balls to the wall. Do it. That's great.
Hey, a DeLorean, Lynn Lowry, and ex-dead husband zombie. That's pretty cool. This movie's gonna be good.
I had a friend in Florida that had a DeLorean that he rented out for that type of purpose and stuff. That was used in a music video and stuff, but he sold it a couple years back.
Ah.
Speaking of Florida and DeLoreans, and I know this is totally off topic, but I lived there for a short while, and this was southern Florida, so near the Everglades. And I decided to take a drive around just to learn the area. And I stumbled across a DeLorean dealership. This was like back in like 2012. It was insane. I took pictures of it. It's just it was a fleet of DeLoreans in the back lot. It was just crazy.
How?
That's pretty
I can't wrap
awesome.
my head around that.
Yeah. Well, it was.
I'm willing to believe in real world scenarios, zombie love triangle before I concede a fucking DeLorean dealership in Florida. That is nuts.
Well, so it was in Naples, which is like a very posh area. So
Florida. La-ti-da.
It's weird. They called Naples like the New York of Florida for some reason.
No, now they've really gotten up there and they're calling it the Billionaire's Coast.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Yeah, type of people like, the DeLorean's out of gas, honey. Well, then buy a new one.
The funny thing was Judge Judy lived at the end of our street, and it was like I always joked my mom I was gonna like take a picture of her and stuff like that because she was a huge Judge Judy fan.
Leo, so you proud of the billionaire crowd is what you're saying?
No, my previous in-laws were very, very well off. So previous in-laws. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Michael, I had a question about filmmaking in the UK. So correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a sort of law where pretty much anybody is able to go on pretty much any land in the country because it's like, for like historic walks or whatnot? Is that true? And can that be focused on like for filmmaking as well? Or is there still like all these laws in place where you got to get papers to film in certain areas?
I do not really know, I have to admit. I mean, we just made it on the seats of our pants, whatever we needed, we just did and hope we got away with it, and we did.
Nice.
So and most of the people were really friendly, So this old bloke came by and, what are you doing here? Oh, we're making a zombie movie. Oh, good. You're in the extras.
If that's the worst thing that anybody said to you, then you definitely came out ahead. So
yeah. So it really worked very well for us. But I don't know if we should have had permits for some of these places. But as I said before, we didn't film in city center. So everywhere else you film, people just don't really care that much. So
that's awesome.
Certainly works to your advantage. So I
think so.
End result, I'm excited to see your movie.
That's great.
And just a reminder, IndieScream.in.live. Did I do it right?
IndieScream.in.live.
Yay.
No .com at the end. Just .live.
Yeah, and if you don't want to remember it, and you got a forgetful memory like me, just check the show notes up above or down below, and just click on the link, and also where you can follow the convention as well. And I know it is in the UK, so what is it, like 3 o'clock there now, something like that, 3 a.m.?
Well, I'm in Austria, and it's 2 o'clock.
Oh, very good. Well, I know it's late, so we'll let you get going. Michael, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Totally.
Thank you.
So before you go, where do you like people following you on social media?
I've got I'm on Facebook. I've also got a fan base on Facebook that's called Michael Haberfellner Writer, because I'm very conceited and think I've actually got fans. And and There's No Such Thing as Zombies is also on Facebook, and it's also got a website that's There's No Such Thing as Zombies.com. This one is .com, so yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. And for those of you just joining, we'll play the trailer again for the Zombies was a little bit different. So I'll play the event trailer again. Here we go. Awesome. So in the back room, we have Justin, Paul, and Christiane. Who should we bring in next?
Let's bring in Christiane next. And so her film, Blood, Tea, and Red String, is actually just wrapped up a special event at the Alamo Theaters in Austin. And this film and the ones that she has going, I can't say enough about her art. It is all of the same piece, but it's all very unique. She just did a show that she can tell you about, an exhibit rather, that's kind of in the same genre, but wasn't stop motion. Obviously, it was an exhibition, and her film is a stop motion film, and it's really hard to explain. So I'll let her do it, unless you have the trailer there. Do you have the trailer where you can see a bit of it?
I do not. The trailers I have, there's one labeled Zoom, Shadim, the Dark Screams, The Shallow Grave, The Woodsman, and then Lost Kitty.
Okay, so I'll try to locate one as you're speaking with her, and I'll put it into the chat.
Awesome.
And let's Christiane, if you have it handy.
Oh, I can, yeah, I can play it. I've got it sort of in my website that I could share if I have permission to share the screen.
Yeah, you should be able to share it.
Yeah, I'd rather have people see it before I start talking, because it makes more sense.
It's very unique. You have to see it before.
It's very visual of the thing. Okay, so hold on. Let's see what happens when I share
Yeah, if you share it, I'll see it pop in the back room, and then I can push it.
Okay, so I can make sure that it's. I just want to share one window. Can I do that?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay. Oh, it's just giving me tips. Okay, that window. Oh, it's okay. This looks very familiar. Okay, well, it's going to be you guys because it's all in the same tab. So just give me a sec to. Okay, here's my website, and I put it right up at the. Oops. Oh no! Now I ended up on Amazon. Well, like, it's hard to click the right links when people are kind of staring at you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and play this. And see how it works. Okay, so there you go.
I'm in.
Now, Christiane, let me ask you: Is this I said a feature film, but is it like 30 minutes? Is it an hour and 30 minutes? How long is this film?
It's 71 minutes.
So okay, wow. So that how long did this take you? Because that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, from the time I began it to the time I was done with it was 13 years. A chunk of that time was just trying to find someone to help me with the sound, and then having not being independently wealthy, there's jobs that had to be worked, and not every moment was devoted to stop motion filmmaking, but as many moments as I can possibly accumulate.
Now, what's it about? Because we don't have like a description of it, so if you could give us a synopsis.
Yeah, if you'll forgive me for kind of reading something so I don't just get into too many tangents. I'm a very tangential person.
It's fine.
No
but
problem.
It's a stop motion film, as you can see, it described as a Lynchian fever dream on Beatrix Potter Train by Variety. It is a Grimm's-like morality tale of anthropomorphic white mice that you saw there, and who commissioned the Oak Dwellers, the little brown furry guys, to create a doll for them in the form of a woman. So the problem that happens that sets things in motion is that once the creatures create the doll, they fall in love with her and they will not give her up. So the mice come along in their tortoise-drawn carriage in the deep of the night and steal her. And so that kind of is what sets the stage for the journey to reclaim her. And that's the simple part of the story.
So it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, it's an art film. So there are things that some people are like, that makes perfect sense. And other people, some people are like, what the?
Well, I'm a big Lynch fan. So, I mean, once you started playing it, I was just like, oh, yes, I want more of this. So
I love that stop motion stuff too. That is
great.
Just
it just adds such a creepiness to it. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Coraline, and it we only got to see like 2 or 3 minutes, but I mean, it's as good as any of those Hollywood production ones that I've seen. So
well, I
really
do have
awesome.
a little story about that, because I worked in the animation industry for quite a few years and got to know a lot of people because they kind of spread. And so someone who I'd worked with quite a lot was working on Coraline.
Oh, wow.
And while I can't corroborate it, when I was working somewhere else, I met someone who was working at Leica when they were working on Coraline. And he said, oh, one day at lunch, it was required for us to all watch your movie for the sewing scenes.
Wow. Yeah.
Coraline. I have on good authority that they looked at my movie to watch the sewing scenes.
Well, look at you getting benchmarked. That's pretty nice. Not bad.
Oh, ouch.
Whoa, careful now. No, this looks really good though. I mean, I right away it has that sort of semi-surreal aspect to it that I think a lot of stop motion features do. And considering how the story that you're trying to tell, what you've told us, it sounds like it's in looks, of course, because we just saw the trailer, But I mean, all together with the description of the story, that sounds like it's really going to lend itself to the atmosphere that you've cultivated throughout it. And I honestly, like, I really cannot wait to see this full thing. Like, I'm just a big old nerd altogether. And like, when anything looks like Lynchian and involves like any kind of animation, like, yeah, I'm all set. I'll pop my popcorn, I'll get my soda, and I'll be sitting down for quite some time checking that out.
Now, how was the blood done with the stop motion?
She froze.
Oh, did we lose you?
No, she's just really good at staying still, Leo.
I can tell you
how stop motion works.
She comes back. I can tell you, we get a lot of interesting requests for this movie. It's like I just said, they just had that down at the in the Alamo in Austin, and then even it was so random. I think it was called Boss Girl, but it was a Netflix series that Charlize Theron was producing, and they were like, there's a scene in front of a film festival, and we want her poster. You know, like very specifically, people will reach out to us from time to time. And actually, the girl who programs for Alamo, she had said, like, I had seen this. I think she said in college, she was like, and I am so excited to put this in. It's like, this film should be a cult classic. I mean, there's nothing like it. Like she said, it took 13 years. Was it 13 or 16?
Yeah, 13. She said
13 in making, yeah.
Yeah, 13 years to put together. And she has another one in the works, but it's very expensive to do. That's just off the charts. And her exhibit, if you can go to her website and check it out, is like walking into that world. It's really I believe it was done in LA, and I wish I could have went to see it, but I told her, feel free to promote anything you're doing because it's all incredibly interesting, and she really is quite the artist powerhouse, and with a unique voice.
Well, that trailer instantly hypnotized me. So
yeah,
yeah.
That's a good sign for any movie.
I was trying to
and you can tell Coraline did take her idea with the stitching, because that's when I saw that's the thing that brought me to say that's just like Coraline. So it's kind of interesting that the film looks really good. It's just it's pretty awesome.
I man, like, seriously, I love that stuff, and I am in awe of the amount of talent and patience it takes. For 13 years, I can't sit down to do something for 13 minutes usually. So good for her. That is outstanding.
Right. And doing it during having, like the rest of us have day jobs, so it's not like she was able to work full time on it. So it's like hopefully it's her she loves it as a hobby, because that's
a passion.
That is a passion. Yeah.
That is a passion right there for sure.
This has really been a year for movies that have, indie movies that have been in production for like forever, if we're saying, so she's been in production for 13 years. There was Siegfried's Brain, which was in production since the 80s, and they finally got the money to finish it. Grizzly 2 was another one that just sort of like.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And I think there was another one too that we had on. But I mean, like Siegfried's Brain, for example, even though it took so long, friggin' phenomenal movie. So this one here, just because just the amount of talent that you can see from the trailer, but just it just looks friggin' phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, not having known about Blood Tea and Red String before this, I can honestly say that walking away, I am definitely putting Blood Tea and Red String at the top of my must-see list. Like that, like I said, when I say transfixed, I seriously was just like, what is this? All the way up to the last second. Hello again.
Welcome back.
My internet died, so it's got the little red flashy light, which is real fun. So now I'm on my phone, and my kid's scrambling to find a power brick, so my phone doesn't. Oh, well, get me my cord, please. My young assistant is trying to help out. Where were we? I was talking about something, and then all the little like swirly things happen on.
Mark helped us out, but he mentioned that you were working on another one too, another film just like this, isn't that right?
I am. Well, not just like this. Come on, can you just connect? It takes too much brain space to do that. If you can do that for me, then yes. It's hard to do things right. We've already had a long day at work teaching. Okay. We're good. We're good. No, it's good. I can just do that. Okay. My young assistant who knows everything all internet better than me. Now that I'm totally flustered, ask me questions.
Yeah, tell us about this other project you're working on too.
Oh, it is called Seed in the Sand, and I have one of my little characters here to show you. So wait, where's the camera? Oops, okay. Hello.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
So
That's awesome.
It's not mirror image. Okay. So there's lots of these little guys here, and I am about, how finished am I now? It's about 54 minutes long so far, and it's probably going to be about 80 minutes. It is similarly no dialogue, and oh my god, see, once you're flustered, it's like my log line, I forgot everything. My main thing. Okay. And I'm gonna get, just because sometimes you just have to read stuff. So it is also kind of like a fable. It's much more bleak, whereas Blood Tea and Red String was mostly created in Northern California and then Southern California later. This has been kind of started in it began a very bleak period of my life. I'm no longer like super bleak, but maybe goth, but not bleak. And it's generally, the color scheme is very gray, and the world is dead, and there's no water anywhere. So the main character is, okay, my dog is out now drinking water. Speaking of lack of water. And so this little clan of characters, there are six of these guys. They live in little red nests and trees, and their death is at their doorstep because they are almost out of their preserved food. And one starts having these dreams of these dolls dancing on an island, and a mermaid who is kind of near them, beckoning him in a pod, this like strange pod that he seems to think that it's going to solve all of their problems for whatever reason, or he's just gone completely batshit crazy. We don't really know for quite some time in the film, and so this is a mix of live action and animation. It's mostly animation, but I'm in the film, except I have a mask that's actually was cast from a live cast on my face when we made a mask. So I entered the film, but I figured, because it takes me like too long to do it, then it I may change in ways I don't want to, and just have that mask, so we're good. And, so anyway, this character delivers an object, which then is planted, and a little sprout grows because she waters it with her tears, and then from that grows a pod, very much like he sees in his dreams. So he decides to pluck it and leave his family. Oh, and by the way, like, his mate has just laid an egg, so he's leaving his family to go on a quest. So I guess I like making movies where there's quests of some sort. So this one has a quest, a dangerous quest.
Now, how did you get into stop motion? Because it's an awesome thing to get into. It's just that it's not a common thing. How did you get into it? What I guess inspired you?
Well, I was at San Francisco Art Institute, just happily being a painting major, and then a couple of my friends had taken a motion graphics class, and they didn't have an animation program there. It was just this class. And it's like, and when I saw their stuff, I'm like, oh my god, I can animate puppets. I want to do that, because I've always been crafty and made like dolls and stuff since I can remember. So I was like 5. I don't even know when I started doing it, just like wads of fabric. And then so the next year I took it, and then I made a short film called Blood and Sunflowers, which just set me on my path. And I had some doubters at the time. It's like, but she's such a good painter. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. And then he saw Blood and Sunflowers. Like, oh, you're painting in motion. And I'm like, yes. So, and that one was shown on the Sundance Channel in a shorts compilation back in 2002. And it's kind of been around. It's been on a German DVD. It's easy to find. I'm very easy to find because there's no one else on the face of the earth that I'm aware of that has my name. So if you can spell it right or close to right, you can probably find me.
That's the spirit.
But anyway, so that set me up, and then like, well, okay, I made a 1.5 minute film, so maybe I should make another film. And then I started making little characters and the story. It's like, oh, maybe this will be 10 minutes now. But it just kept growing and growing and growing. The story kept getting more and more complex, and it became a feature. And then so I went from a 1 minute film to a feature. So yay! And now I'm working on another one.
And people can watch it on IndieScream.in.live starting this week. And I know we have a couple more people to get to, and we got about 10 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get to everybody. Christiane, where do you just the name of your film again, and where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
So the film is Blood, Tea, and Red String. I'm kind of splattered all over the internet on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. So the best thing to do is go to my website at christiansagavsky.com, and that has a portal to every single place, and more information on the show that Mark mentioned that happened this summer, and will also happen again next summer in Oakland, California. So yeah, just get that spelling my name quick before it goes away on the screen.
Or you can go to IndieScream.in.live. I'm sure they have all your information there as well, and the link is in the show notes up above or down below. Thank you so much for your time this evening. It's an absolute pleasure, and we can't wait to watch your movie.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks for you,
Christiane.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi.
By the way, we got the promo code up and live. Dorks rule officially works for the all pass at $29.99. Gives you 20% off. So go to IndieScream.in.live and use the Dorks rule promo code.
Awesome. Nice. Very cool. Now, I apologize. We have about 10 minutes left. So I brought everybody else on here. We have George, Justin, and Paul. And who would like to go first to describe your movie? How about you, Paul? You want to kick it off?
Just
Can you guys hear me?
unmute yourself.
Yes,
Yes, we can now.
Okay, can I see the screen with everyone real quick so I can see everyone's face?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
Look
Okay,
at my
so
face.
want to say Leo, Philip, Barrett, Brandon, thanks so much for having us on. Mark and Calvin, thank you so much for putting this together. And for everyone who's listening or watching at home, thank you so much for supporting independent film, because really every big director or anyone started somewhere. And so what you're really doing is hopefully supporting tomorrow's innovative voices and big names. There's got to be some in there somewhere, right? That's what you hope. Mark's hopefully picked out some good people. But yeah, so Christopher Nolan started somewhere. Everyone had to start something. David Fincher, everyone has to start someplace, and this is kind of where it begins. This is the first step. So everyone out there, thank you for supporting independent film, because you are literally supporting the future people who are going to probably hear about in the next 5 years.
Totally. And, indie film, this is where we get all the unique stories. It's not going to be, sequel and remake heaven. It's just going to be, these are all where the original storylines come from. And yeah, we
Playing
get some
pretty fast
awesome
and loose
movies.
with the word heaven there, Leo, but okay.
Well, and there's a lot of great stories of directors like you folks and producers and whatnot, writers that do films like these. They get seen, and then then they get a motion picture. The guy that did Spider-Man, he did a joke trailer for a film called Clown, and Eli Roth picked him up, and then he got Spider-Man, and then the guy that did Godzilla and King Kong, and then the guy that did the Evil Dead remake. So yeah, that's great news that you're bringing to everybody, Paul, because it's true, everything you said.
And for every one of you guys who are watching at home or listening, or actually, please go buy this pass, please. There's a good discount for you. But you'll probably, obviously a lot of the budgets are limited, and so people have limited budgets, but you'll probably see seeds of really brilliant stuff in there, even with limited budgets. And so just look for those gems of like great visuals or great storytelling or something there that transcends the fact that we don't have $100 million to use.
I just used Dork's rule, and it worked.
Awesome.
Kelvin, you did a
just
good
about
job.
to use it too.
Well done, Kelvin. Well done.
Just so I make sure we get all the trailers in here, Paul, which is your movie?
It's The Woodsman. I'm the writer-director of The Woodsman. I'll try to make this quick, so I guess let's run the trailer so we can get everyone in.
Let's see. Do I have The Woodsman?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, that's the very first one, Leo.
Very
first one. Yeah, right at the right the second one actually, the second one.
Oh yeah, here we go. 1 second to load it.
No problem. And while he's loading that, guys, I want you, if you guys get a chance to see the trailer, or hopefully you guys watch the film, you're going to notice a lot of things, which is interesting camera angles to tell the story. Plus, you're going to notice uses of color in different ways that actually also tell the story. And I also wrote the soundtrack. And if you, does anyone here do music? Anyone musical? Nope.
My wife is.
0 people are musical. Fantastic. Okay.
One of my best friends does it, but not me.
Nobody here. Okay, so I'm talking to somebody.
I've heard
here
music
in
before.
Radio
That's why I
Land.
like it.
Forget all these people on the panel. I'm talking to people out there in Radio Land. So if you guys are musical, I'm sure there's some musicians out there, you're going to notice that I have a degree in music. You're going to notice a lot of leitmotifs. All the characters have their own themes. They're going to come back at different times with maybe at a higher pitch or slower or faster. And there's even a scene where I use 7/8 time, which is a 3/8 measure. Actually, in 2/8 measures, 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1, because it's a little bit off. You're going to notice there's a lot of different details you may notice if you pay attention.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Lori Gant's body was found today, mutilated. The third girl missing in 3 months. NPD have no leads or witnesses.
Nathaniel Hawthorne said, "Time flies over us and leaves its shadow behind."
You know those 3 girls that went missing? We got another one.
Damn. What do you think?
That's 4 girls in 4 months.
There is a witness.
Mildred Gilson, the victim's daughter.
She's experienced a prodromal state, followed by syncope.
English?
Do you remember your mother? What happened to her?
Wolves.
The whisper tree.
Let us know when she gets over her calliope.
Syncope.
Whatever.
That sounds about right for Nazareth.
Maybe we're just in hell right now.
It's the fires. Drives all sorts of animals down from the hills.
Okay,
Another
just so
one
we
I'm
get it in,
totally in
let me
for.
play Justin's trailer.
Apparently, there's a video conference call on the file that was released that shows the fatality of the victim. We haven't confirmed the details of the file yet, but what we do know is that the contents are very graphic, and for whatever reason, law enforcement did not want that file to be released.
You should watch it before you drop it. You just look. I'm sorry, but you need to see this. Look, I have it here on my laptop. I'll just show it to you.
Who are we waiting for?
We're waiting for everybody.
Now we're in a global pandemic. You guys do know this is like a big conspiracy, right?
Oh, here we go.
Ooh.
What?
Your professionalism is vital to everything that we do. Kate, the floor is yours.
Okay.
I'll be right back, everyone. Excuse me. Honey, where's my fucking coffee?
Heavens to Betsy.
No, he doesn't have pants. You don't have pants?
You know, professionalism. That's my topic for today. Let's get professional. But yeah, you guys get the picture. Pants and no cats.
Hey, can somebody tell Golden Boy over there that just because he's on mute doesn't mean we can't see him smoking weed?
I don't take anything you people say personally anyway.
You people.
Hold on.
Today for certain is not the day to say that shit to me. What the fuck is that about?
Language, please. Watch the language.
Everyone rewinds to the 45-minute and 17-second mark.
Why?
Would you fucking just rewind the tape? How did we miss this?
Do not move. And your dog, is your dog, check your dog. No, Charlotte's okay. My dog's fine. Leave my dog alone, all right? Sir. Okay, sir. Sir, I need you to calm down. I need you to calm down. There's no need to get angry.
And I apologize. I have to go start another show. Dark Dreams or Shallow Grave?
George, which would you prefer?
Well, I don't think there's a trailer for Dark Dreams.
All right, then let's do
maybe Shallow Grave.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
School's out. You're on your way to a week of fun, and you stop for gas in a nice little town along the way.
Hey, where are you ladies headed for, anyway?
We're going to Fort Lauderdale.
It's a friendly town, but you don't want to get a flat tire here. Not here. Not in this town.
Wait.
Let's call that your first big mistake.
Please. You have to help us.
Kill her if she tries to escape again.
Welcome to Medley, Georgia, USA. A friendly place.
Grange meet listed at 7 community drum auditions.
A quiet place.
Starting around 5.
Where people mind their own business. Maybe you should too.
Let's do it again. I haven't seen you in a while.
There's no time.
No, you don't want to see anything you shouldn't. Not here. That would be your second big mistake.
This is bullshit. Sorry, but do you have a cigarette? So, you see, we kind of need a little help, and well, we're kind of a little lost also.
But you're on vacation. Well, you were on vacation. It's not your fault. You're innocent. Until captured. But you don't want to cross the law here. That could be a big mistake. You just might end up in a shallow grave. Don't try to run, not from the law. He makes it. He can break it.
Murder, huh?
He was the one. Who was? The sheriff.
You just keep your mouth shut.
If he doesn't like you, it's bad.
Don't leave me in here alone.
Now how in the hell is he gonna kill you in the jailhouse?
Don't hurt me.
Take off your clothes.
If he does like you, it's worse. No, you don't want to go to jail here. That just may be your last big mistake.
Oh my God.
Greetings from Medley, Georgia, USA, where the most feared killer wears a badge. So don't get in his way, because there's only so many people you can fit in a shallow grave. One more thing. Whatever you do, when you're on vacation and a policeman stops you by the side of the road, don't make the same mistake they did, or you'll be in a shallow grave, too. Is there a problem, officer?
All right, so it looks like we can continue longer than we thought. Basically, what's happened is Leo had to go off and start a second show that just began at 8:30, and as a result, the rest of us can still stay on until we're done. So let's start with you, Paul, and talk about The Woodsman. Go ahead, tell us what it's all about. I mean, we saw the trailer, but give us your synopsis and stuff.
Trailer looks good, by the way. I'm into watching the film.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So that was, I have a TV series picked up by Dark Horse Entertainment. It's called Red. The whole idea is, what if our legends came from true stories? Like, so the idea of Little Red Riding Hood, what if it was actually a true story, not some legend? So The Woodsman is actually sort of the origin story of this character. It's sort of set in a small town called Nazareth in the South, where this girls have gone missing. And they find one dead, tied to a tree. And the only person who is the witness is this little girl who can't remember what happened. So it's a story of this little girl plus this officer, detective, who's very broken and is kind of given up on life. What happens when he suddenly has to look out for this girl who might be being targeted by somebody?
Nice. I like
Nice.
that. Yeah, the idea that all these fables that we're familiar with actually have their roots in actual occurrences, and almost like softened and made titillating over time, like through oral tradition or whatever. That's cool. That's a very, very great way to look at how those stories have become mired in different cultures throughout the years. I like the idea that like someone like Wilhelm Grimm and his brother Jacob, like, you know, they may have documented stuff more than actually created stuff. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and it touches on it a little bit, and there's things that you might notice if you pay close attention. Like the girl's name is Mildred, or Millie as her nickname, but it's Mildred. And if you see like the first half of her name tag, it torn off the M-I-L-D, it's left R-E-D, which is the red. Yeah, that's where he gets the red from. Later on, as things go on, not in this movie, but as things progress, she works for a company called the Nagiyama Group, which is one letter away from Nagi Mama, which in Hungarian is grandmother. And so the idea is things have been mistranslated. Like there's certain facts, but they've been lost in translation, creating these legends and these myths that have happened through the years.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, because I'm going to enjoy watching it. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and I saw what you were talking about with the use of color and definitely the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack was really fun to write. I actually wrote too much music. It was super easy. I actually had to take music away because I'd written way too much. But it was so fun to write. It was like I wrote the entire soundtrack in like 2 weeks. It was really easy. And you're going to notice a lot of what I do is I take a lot of there's a lot of orchestral instruments, plus there's a lot of rock elements. So it's sort of gritty, but then I replace a lot of instruments with human voices. So you can hear a lot of the huh and and a lot of just percussions done with human voices and a lot of choir things, because I think that we actually connect more to the human voice than any other instrument, right? And I wanted things very tribal and guttural. So I used a lot of African percussion and ethnic percussion. So I combined sort of like the amalgamation of symphonic with tribal all in the soundtrack, because that's kind of what I wanted with this as well. So and yeah, you're going to notice things with color. There's places where I start slowly desaturating. One thing I realized, even I saw in this trailer, which I actually color corrected it again since the trailers. So I was just like, I should have like, it's a little different now. One thing I thought to myself originally, so I threw on a film grain to make it more cinematic looking. And then what I did is I actually tried to desaturate it a little bit because it's sort of like a darker project, but it ended up just looking like a crappy movie. Because when you don't have big stars in it, like if you had Brad Pitt in your movie and you desaturate it and make it grainy, you're like, oh, that's an artistic choice, right? But when it's an independent film and you do that, it just looks like a crappy movie.
And so speaking of that, the movie Seven with Brad Pitt, that's what they did, and it was like you said, it made it artsy looking. That's kind of funny.
Right.
Yep.
But you can't. It doesn't work with indie film. So what I did is I went the other direction. When you watch it, I really made it beautiful colored. And then there's different changes in color, but I went the opposite direction. So it's very saturated and pops out and very strident. And then there's different scenes like flashbacks, which are more colored yellow. There's one place where like the girl's mom is slowly dying in a flashback, and that whole scene, it gradually goes from color to more and more black and white gradually as the life is leaving her, the color leaves that scene. And also towards the end, as we go to more climate. Yeah. And as we go more there's a climactic scene towards the end where the hues become more and more red, because as the idea of Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
And did you use drones for some of those shots? They were pretty impressive.
Some drones, and I bought something called a Cobra crane for I think it was $800, which is, you hook it onto some sticks and it can go up and down. Yeah. So
that was my next question. So there we go. I thought I saw some crane shot, but yeah, this looks vivid and visceral. I mean, altogether. So I honestly, I'm very interested to hear more of the sound design that you did on it. The fact that you're saying you replaced a lot of the actual instrumentation with human voices, that is very interesting to me. Like that, I do have a friend, like one of my best friends. He went to school for sound design, and I cannot wait to tell him about this because I know he's just gonna get a full on nerd boner over it.
And almost 100% of I actually the dialogue is the regular dialogue, but almost all the other sounds are Foley. So I actually footsteps, doors, everything is Foley. I added in post-production because that's what they do in real movie sets, right? They replace everything with Foley sound, so it's very crisp and it really hits. So it was kind of hard because I had to look at people and figure out by their body where their foot was hitting, and then it was there's 3 people walking, so I had to pick out different footsteps for those people and different shoes and pan them the right direction the way they're walking and slowly fade them out that direction. But sound-wise, it's almost everything is almost replaced with Foley sounds, just so it pops a little bit more.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And where did you film it? Because it's pretty nice locations, I noticed.
So this is something for everyone at home who's listening, who's an independent filmmaker. If you want to talk about lessons, what I always start with personally is I think that your locations are the most important thing if you have no money. Because one, you need to make sure you can film there, right? So before I wrote the script, I actually went through and I said, okay, what locations do I have access to? And then I wrote the script based on my locations. And the other thing is, for me personally, I I want things to be extremely something. If it's beautiful, it's got to be incredibly beautiful. It's ugly, it's got to be really ugly. You're going to see that I didn't have access to all those places in this film. So there are places that are like the drummer or the bass player in my band that I used to be a part of. He's a real estate agent. And so he had these really crappy places in LA that were ruined. I was like, don't touch anything. I want to use these places. And you'll see some horrible looking places, which are so good. And then there's a few places where I filmed in my apartment, which honestly, it looks terrible because it looks normal. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It looks very average. There's places that look average. And I was like, and I was forced to do it. But the next film I do, the next project I do, hopefully I get to do another one, is like, for you guys, filmmakers at home, make sure you pick out extreme locations, because this way you don't have to dress up the set. It actually becomes another character in the project. It makes it very visually interesting, because remember, this is film, so you need to make things look interesting visually.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because, for example, like Hammer Films, they used to just go to old castles and because they had no money, but they could use the castle, and there you go. That's an awesome location. Or me and Barrett did a review on a film called AWOL earlier this year, and that film takes place in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and they didn't have any money, so what they used was the backdrops of the old factories and the burnt out train cars and stuff like that, and that makes the film look so much more expensive than it really was, because it's like you said, if the locations are huge for independent films, and that's awesome recommendation for all people who are listening that are like you, who want to make a good film.
And luckily, Angela's Forest at the time, and I know you guys have to move on because we don't have any time, but Angela's Forest happened to have a lot of fires recently in it, which was very great. So, I mean, again, things you probably wouldn't notice, but I started off filming in the forest where it was very green and lush, and as we went on, I started filming more and more in the burnt areas. And again, you probably wouldn't notice it, but there was really cognitive choices made in transitions. Say like it's really burnt, and it's nice, it's kind of burnt, it's really burnt. And even in the trailer, you hear one of the characters, Whirly, mention it's like, it's the fires. It draws all kind of animals down from the hills. It's sort of like I use that in the script, that the fires have driven things down from the hills, which wouldn't normally be down in the city or in the little town.
Keep my eyes peeled for that.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if I would have noticed that detail. Damn it, Paul.
Yeah. So anyways, I know we don't have much time, so I want to give the other guys a chance, but I want to say thank you very much, and I really appreciate you giving us a chance to talk about our stuff. And again, Mark and Calvin, thank you guys so much for giving us this opportunity. Everyone listening, again, like all these great filmmakers here, you're really supporting up and coming people. And again, this is like where it all starts for a lot of filmmakers, and tomorrow's David Fincher's are hopefully in here somewhere as they learn and they grow and stuff like that, right? Everyone starts someplace, and this is where people start. So thank you for supporting independent film.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
appreciate it, Paul. Hopefully you have a good success going forward, and your film trailer looks awesome, so we're looking forward for the film as well.
Thank you, guys. You've been the best. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
You too.
Absolutely. You too. Bye-bye. All right, Justin, let's go with you next, right? Because you just have the one film, and this film, we just saw the trailer. It's called it's Zoom.move or Zoom.mov, because MOV is for movie. And explain what all that means, why it's called that title.
Well, actually, my editor kind of gave me that idea. We were going to call it Zoom, just Zoom movie. We were throwing around a lot of different ideas, and when he edited it, he said, "Why don't you call it like a cool file name?" Since we're trying to get everybody to be convinced that this leaked file. So he came up with that clever, file name. It's actually edited by Michaelo Peoples, who's the filmmaker Mario Van Peebles' son. So he did a really good job. I didn't know how we would edit this. I've never done a Zoom movie before. That was a new thing over the pandemic, and he did a great job editing it, putting it together, and that was his little concept. And I love the file name, just doing it as a file name. I think it all works out and plays into our narrative.
Absolutely. And for someone like myself, I've been working from home, doing nothing but conference call meetings every day with work. And the fact that I saw everybody's reaction where, there was something that they saw on screen, I instantly was just like, what would my coworkers and I do if we had come across something that clearly is going to like rock you to your core when you see it? And I'm intrigued. I am truly intrigued by this. Like, that taps right into my daily life. So I think you hit the nail on the head for anybody that experiences that on a regular basis. Just that mundane thing taken and elevated.
Yeah, mission accomplished there. And that's kind of, I mean, everything that for me starts as a joke ends up into a movie. And I don't know, that's kind of been my career.
Nothing wrong
I
with
just
that.
said, oh, what if we did a whole movie on Zoom? Haha, very funny. Like, and something happens on the call and then you rewind it, like that was it. And people took me serious. It's just me joking. Creatives taking me serious. And then you get a
Yeah, you're like, ha ha ha, and they're like, tell me more of this idea.
You never
man.
know. That's
exactly.
And because I have a sense of humor that way. Haha, you could do. And then the people, when you talk, people listen, and that's kind of how it happened. It happened on a Facebook forum, and I said that, and on my manager's Facebook forum, and she reps like good, talented actors and writers and filmmakers like myself, and a couple of them DM me and said, "Are you kidding? Or are you being for real?" I said, "I mean, I'm half for real, but how I don't know how it play out. Let's troubleshoot it. Let's write a script. Every good movie starts with a script. Without a script, you're dead in the water." So we started with a script, and we penned a good script, and just we were pioneering it. I didn't know what it would be. We didn't know how to make the actor contracts or a lot of the deal memos. Like I was like, I don't know what this is gonna be. This is Frankenstein. Like, I don't know. Can you make a movie? Is it entertaining? Can you cut the wide and the close up to make it look like the same consistent phone call? And we figured it out,
So it sounds like there was a fair amount of trial and error involved as you were getting the technical aspect down.
So the first thing was a rehearsal. I said, I just want to see the rehearsal, see how it goes. And then they sent me the rehearsal on a link. And I said, okay, this is how we're going to play it out. And then we set a shooting date. And I wanted to limit the actors' time because they were doing it on a deferment. No, we didn't have any budget. So I just said, okay, we'll shoot these hours. Give me 2 hours of your time. That's all I need. You're in the comfort of your own living room. You can, dress your background. I gave some direction. I just said, make it look like you live there. It's livable. No green screen or blue screen. That's not going to work. The one lady had a cat. I said, let the cats do whatever the heck they want. I don't care. Let them do backflips. Let them shit on the screen. I don't care. I don't care what happens during this call because it should be natural. It's a found footage type movie like Blair Witch. I want the audience to feel it really happened. And a lot of people write me because it's out on Amazon Prime Video, personal messages. What happened to Chloe? Is she real? Is that a real person? So it succeeded in that way because people feel close to it. Kids are like, no, Chloe, they get attached to the actress because Tristan, who unfortunately couldn't make it on the call, she's filming. She helped me write it and executive produced it. She does such a convincing job of making you think that that's her. And with the edit and the movie, I feel like we're successful in that sense where you get attached to all the characters. The Karen, we have Cynthia Quillis playing Karen, who's on Why Women Kill on ABC, Mark Cherry's new show. She's one of the ladies on that. So, and all my actors kind of took off after this. They all started booking series, and it was like a little launching pad during quarantine when people's mental health weren't all there, and it was just like I wanted to keep us working, keep us creative. And this, I was kind of kidding, and then I was like, no, we do need to do something. What else are we gonna do? And that's the way I look at it, at life in general. Okay, I can't do A, B, and C, but I can do D. But can I do D and E and D and F and make something happen from it? Because we were told, all of us were told during quarantine everything we couldn't do, and I was like, what can we do? Oh, we can get on Zoom. Oh, we can all get on a Zoom in the comforts of our own home. Well, how do we make a movie out of that? And that's where this came out.
No, that's great, man. To be able to really focus it on what you had available to you, and let your story spring forth from that. I mean, that is really the essence of independent filmmaking, is to just take stock and see, okay, what assets do I have available to me, and then to have your story idea and see what you can do to fit around what you have. And the fact that you have individuals contacting and commenting and saying, what happened to them? Are they okay? Like, what's going on? That right there speaks volumes to the goal you set for yourself. That is clearly convincing to the point where people genuinely think that you have real people on there and this shit is going down.
Yeah.
So great job. I like I said, I know that I'm intrigued by it. It plugs right into something I deal with regularly, which I think a lot of people, because of the pandemic, can relate to just that. Like I said, the mundanity of meetings like that. So to be able to take that regular, seemingly everyday occurrence, and then give it that skewed look and just kind of throw something unexpected at everyone. I mean, that right there that's the makings of a great story and good horror as well. So
yeah,
I'm signed up, man. Like I'm ready for it.
Yeah, and necessity is the mother of all invention. Like that's where the invention came from. And even like we weren't used to being muted video. That's why people stand up and they don't have their pants on, and the kids smoking weed. Like you forget, oh, I am on a call. You know how boring those meetings get, and you're like, you're doing. Even on this, I'm like drinking a soda. Like you don't know that you're being filmed sometimes. So I wanted those elements to play out too, but I couldn't be there with them to direct them. So that was a little bit of a curve of like, but you could direct in the comments, like, in the comments on Zoom, like, yo, don't forget, put the hat on or whatever. Like, or in rehearsal, we could pause and I could say, watch the rehearsal in my notes so they can watch the rehearsal back and the notes for the filming live day, so we directed on Zoom, everything, we even did our intro for the festival on Zoom.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great.
we wanted a consistent through line. And then, Mark, and Adler, I think Mark's still on there, but, I was like, don't worry about the QC. It's all failed by art. It's artistic leisure, licensing. Like if the sound's off, the internet connection sucks, I want it to, because it feels real. In fact, one of the main characters had a bad signal, and I was like, perfect. Let him have a bad signal and choppy words. Like, that's what we all are grown accustomed to. This one had a bad connection. I wanted to feel real and not produced and overproduced and directed. And this is the one piece of art where it doesn't need perfection. It doesn't call for perfection. Not sound design, not perfect camera. I know I'm not getting a cinematography award. I know we're not getting best picture. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, but that's where the perfection lies. That's where it's the imperfections that make it that perfect form of art, that what you were looking for, what you were striving for. I mean, I think that's great that the authenticity of it is right there, because you allowed it to just breathe on its own as it was happening.
I hope a fly would fly in somebody's camera.
Wonderful. All right. So where can folks find you on social media and things like that if they want to follow you and whatnot?
Yeah, I keep it pretty consistent. So it's Justin D as in David Nesbitt, N as in Nancy, ES, B as in boy, ITT. So Justin D Nesbitt on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Nice.
And you can find. I'm very reachable. I'm very fine. It's right under Bieber, Justin Bieber, and then
the next Justin down.
Yeah, Justin Thoreau's a little bit ahead of me,
Of course. All right, fantastic. So everybody's looking forward to your film. That's just kind of awesome, the idea that you came up with, and so I'm definitely looking forward to it, and make sure listeners take a look at it when you get the ticket. And once again, Dork's Rule is the 20% off. 20% off.
Yeah. So what it is, you guys want to go to IndieScream.in.live. That's IndieScream.in.live. And if you go to whichever tier you're purchasing, but especially if you go to the full one, the whole shebang, if you put in Dork's Rule as your discount code, you will get 20% off, and you will be able to watch all of these movies that we've been talking about. So take advantage of that, because everything that we've seen and talked about so far has been fantastic, and I don't think you should deprive yourself of that experience, everybody.
Indeed. All right. Thanks a lot, Justin. Appreciate it, and good luck going forward.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right,
Justin.
sounds good. All right, now we have George Fernandez, the legend himself. George is a big-time screenwriter for a lot of great horror films, as we saw Shallow Grave, which just got a HD remastering by Vinegar Syndrome, and everybody can buy that Blu-ray. Has interviews, a director's commentary, has a big interview with George on it. George has worked with Don Johnson, folks that directed Game of Thrones episodes. So George, tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to hear all about you.
Well, this has been a long show. I had time to go change the oil in my DeLorean that I picked up last week in Naples.
Well, we have to blame Mark for that. He brought all you guys on, and he wants to really promote all of you. You know, he loves you guys. So
I know. You saved the best for last. What can I say? Yeah, I'm a filmmaker down here in Florida. My mentor was or is Bill Graffet, who's one of the Grindhouse guys from the 60s. Bill always made the B movie that always played in the drive-ins. And I went to the University of Miami Film School. And that's where I met David Nutter, who ended up going to LA and working on Band of Brothers, The Pacific, and of course he won an Emmy for the red wedding scene in Game of Thrones.
Right. One of the best scenes on television.
Yeah. He directed what is Reign of Castamore, I think it was called, something like that. Yeah.
He got death threats for that scene.
Jeez.
People were calling him up, threatening him and everything, and he kept on telling me, "It's a TV show.
It's not
These people taking it to heart."
Right. Blame Martin for that. I'm just, I mean, come on. That's too funny. That's too funny. Yeah.
He's directed just about everything new sci-fi that came on in the last 20 years on television. I mean, CW always hired him for the Arrow show. He directed the pilot. He directed the pilot for Flash. He's directed more pilots for sci-fi shows than anybody in history.
Yep.
But most important, he's directed your screenplay.
Yeah, he did his first movie. I hired him as a director to do a Ceasefire with Don Johnson. In fact, he's the one that wanted Don Johnson in. And like I said, when I went to LA, everybody said, Don Johnson, he died. He's not here anymore. He quit the business. And I had lunch one day with this actress named Patty Darbenville.
Oh, yeah.
And Patty and we were talking, and I said, well, there's a guy we're looking for. And she said, oh, who's that? And I said, they say he's not in LA anymore. His name is Don Johnson. And she starts laughing. And I thought, is this a joke? Did you say Don Johnson? Everybody laughs. And she says, no, that's the father of my baby. And I go, oh,
Dakota?
No, Jesse.
No. Okay, yeah.
Yep, Dakota wasn't around yet. And
right.
I said, do you still talk to him? She says, yeah. She called him right there and says, Donnie, they want you. And
that's awesome.
When he walked in, we said, oh my God, this is the guy we want. And he did a great part. I think it was one of the best things ever done is in Ceasefire. And after that, we did Shallow Grave. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to do something a little bit out of what we were used to, the comfort zone. And Shallow Grave to us was a thriller. As I mentioned yesterday, I did that. I wrote the whole script in a weekend. We came up with a story. We've been arguing about a story all week. And then I started writing it on Friday night, and I didn't finish it till Sunday night.
Wow.
It was just continuous writing. And we did it. It came out, and it was very good. It was a thriller, and it was doing very well in Europe right now, or back in the day. And a lot of people have called it a classic in some sense. And then Dark Dreams. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, I mean, if Vinegar Syndrome is restoring it, then it's definitely a classic. I know those two guys, Brandon and James. They're really good. They know their stuff. And honestly, like, I already knew that it was coming. So I already had it like on a list because I trust anything those guys do. So if they were saying like, hey, Shallow Grave's coming your way, then I I'm ready for it, man. Like, and I loved that trailer. That was fantastic.
Yeah, they did. I did a little. I did a little video for them, and then they brought in the director, Richie Stiles, and Richard did a whole commentary of the whole film. So you get that along with this DVD. And we were very happy with what we had in the can, and we actually had a bidding war with it, and that was very nice. We had people calling us every day, calling, "Look, how much did you get an offer for? Here's more." And finally got to the point where it was just getting ridiculous. So we said, "Okay, we're going with this guy. He's got the best." And it's so funny because someone was talking about earlier about talking about doing something, and then and they say to you, "Well, what else you got?" And you say something else, and I go, "That's the one I want." And I was in Cannes after I sold Shallow Grave, and I was sitting with this producer, and he said, "Well, I really enjoyed Shallow Grave. Have you got anything else?" And I said a couple of plot lines, storylines, and I said, nah, anything else. And on the way over there, I was in Miami. This is back in the 80s, cocaine cowboy world, stuff like that. And there was this beautiful woman in the airport. I mean, gorgeous. And she's sitting next to this old guy. And she takes a cigarette, pats it on her hand, puts it in her mouth. And out of nowhere, this cigarette lighter came. And she just puffed at it. She knew it was going to be there. And she just puffed at it, lit her cigarette, and continued talking. And I'm looking, and there's this guy, good-looking guy, standing behind her. And he's got his arms crossed. And I go, this is a bodyguard. The old man's probably her husband. And he's got the bodyguard. Hey, what if her and the bodyguard start fooling around? This guy's obviously a cocaine guy. He's one of the old guys that ran the business. And then I started formatting that in my mind, the what if that I talked about last night. And then when I got to this, and I was talking with the guy, and I was telling the producer, and I said, blah, blah, blah. He said, what else you got? And then I told him about this guy who falls in love with this woman, but she's married to a cartel guy, and this and that. And he goes, that's the one I want. Can you have the script ready by Monday? It's Thursday. I go off to find a paper to write in France, okay, and all they got's these graph papers. So I had to handwrite the first script out by hand, so that when I got back to Miami on Monday, I was able to go ahead and transfer it over to type and get it out there. And they bought it, and it became known as Spanish Rose. And they had Michael Pereira was in it. At that time, he was doing Wise Guy and good shows like that. Right. Barbara Carrera and Michael Ironside. And
that's awesome.
The movie was pretty good. It was on HBO several times. I forgot they changed the name, but it was Spanish Rose was the original title.
Was it something Impact?
Yeah, I think it was.
Point of Impact?
Point of Impact. That was it.
Well,
I remember seeing that on
dude.
HBO all the time, man.
Brandon, well done, man.
You said Michael Ironside, because I like Michael Ironside for me, like right there, that's a touchdoome. But wow, I remembered that name, but now I can't remember like third grade. So good for me.
Third grade wasn't that. Fourth grade that you had to worry about.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my career has been like that, writing scripts and selling them and getting it out there and producing whatever I can. I produced it for Dark Dreams. I had shot the 3 episodes that I mentioned before, that they were part of a 26 story anthology series. And I shot the first 3 episodes, and then I had to go ahead and create a bridge connecting all 3 shows because they were completely different characters, different situations and so forth, but I had to bring it together. And the idea was with Dr. Dark, a psychiatrist, who these are his patients, and it brings it all together into Dark Dreams, like that.
Right. And Dark Dreams is one of the films we can see in the festival too, right?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And we're working on right now, finishing up another script. We've got Sunnyland, which I mentioned is a ghost film, best way to describe it, based on the most scariest place in Florida at one time, which was the Sunnyland Children's Hospital in Tallahassee, Florida. Since then, it's got knocked down. But it's interesting. The state of Florida had to put up a $2 million bond saying the place wasn't haunted. And they knocked it down and they built apartments on it. And I've always wondered, how safe are those apartments? Didn't they see, haven't they seen horror movies before? Poltergeist comes right up right there, and I'd love to go back up there and see that and see what's happened up in that area. But we've got Sunnyland dealing with the ghost, and we've got Satan's Maiden, which deals with a witch that escaped the Salem witch trials and lived in Florida for 300 years. And what she does is she sucks the life force of young women every 20 years to stay young and beautiful and immortal. And there's a girls' college built right down the street from her. So the hunting sounds really good. And it's a comedy that we're going to be doing. And I've got a good friend of mine that's going to be directing it. And he's a stand-up comedian. See, that's one of the things when I was teaching at Florida State, I taught film at Florida State. And when it came to casting, one of the problems I used to have with students, they would come over and I would say, well, who's going to be in your film? He says, I've got the funniest guy in the world, my roommate. He is so funny. And I said, wait a minute. At 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're stoned and he's stoned, he's hilarious. Okay? But put him in front of a camera and see what happens. And sure enough, the day they go to shoot, they put the camera up and the guy's frozen. He can't do anything. And I tell my students, do not cast your roommates. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody's funny. You're all smoked up and you're funny. Everybody, even the mouse that's going through the wall is funny as hell. So they learned a lot about casting back then.
You mentioned that your students and stuff. You mentioned once something about Maze Runner or something. What was up with
one
that?
of my students directed, and the other one wrote Maze Runner 1, 2, and 3. Thomas Scott Knowles is the writer, and another student of mine did a movie called Moonlight, Barry Jenkins. And the night of the Academy Awards, my wife was looking at me. She says, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Those are my kids. Those are my students. They're up there. They're getting these awards, And I mean, people say, well, is that what you taught them? No, I was just one of many voices that tried to educate them into this field. And, I'm so happy to see them continue to move forward. I mean, Barry just finished directing Underground, the Underground Railroad for Amazon. And it's got great reviews, great, publicity for it. And I look forward to whatever else he has to do. Thomas Scott Knowles wrote Pacific Rim, and he wrote the sequel, and so forth. And, they're out there. They're doing it. This weekend, I just had a student of mine, Steve Ferris, who was at New York Film Academy, one of my students there, and he's gone back to Canada. And right now he's editing, and he's doing special CGI and stuff like that. He just finished doing CGI for the new movie, A Night in Soho, that's coming out. Also,
yeah.
He did
Edward Wright.
The new Bond movie, and what's the one with Tom Hardy?
Venom.
Venom.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how they had to redo the whole thing because if you watch Venom, there's this character who's this, I guess, the old Korean lady, and Venom takes her over, and they didn't like the acting of her, and they thought the camera's in the wrong spot. So they did the whole thing again, CGI, moved the camera over to the other side, and they faked her voice over, and it said, "Oh, perfect." It's like, it's
Nailed
like,
it.
You nailed it. Yeah, this is great. You just type in the words in the computer, and then it comes out with her speech.
Jesus.
This is the future of
Yeah, I
movies.
was gonna say that's actually frightening.
Yeah.
That is too funny. Now, George, you mentioned Ceasefire and Don Johnson and David Nutter and all that, but the script you wrote and it means a lot to you. What the topic? Why don't you explain about that, the Vietnam and so forth?
Yeah, I had written a play called Vietnam Trilogy, and I'd sent it out to the West Coast and the Veterans Theater in LA, and they played it, and they asked me if I'd like to come out and watch the performance. And that's where David and I saw the performance, and David suggested doing it as a movie. And I'm a vet. I had a lot of friends that came home, and the worst part of it all was coming home, because you were gone for 13 months, and you come home. Like, I came home, called my friends I grew up with. Where you been? Overseas. I was in the Marines. Oh man, you're a baby killer. Don't come see me. You and I are no longer friends. You went to the war. And I mean, these people you grew up with, people you went to school, and all of a sudden you're ostracized because you served. And it was a bad time. And not only for me, but there was a lot of guys that came home, and the easiest thing for them to do was take the route out by shooting themselves, or it's like they said there'd be hundreds of accidents of a guy doing 120 miles an hour down a road and wrapping his car around a tree. And they would just write it off and say, "Oh, car accident." Nah, he was probably the easiest way he could find to kill himself. Even today, we have 22 veterans a day that come home from Iraq and Afghanistan that can't handle it, can't deal with it. Because literally, as I mentioned last night, you're on a flight, you're in the bush. They tell you to get out, go take a shower, get the stuff ready. You're leaving in 24 hours. And you arrive here in the States. And in my case, we were in San Francisco at the airport. And there's 300 guys that just drop off at the airport. And everybody's waiting for flights to go east. And you get drunk, you get in a fight, people get arrested, everything. You get on a flight, you end up coming home. You can't wait to see mom and dad and get out of your clothes and call your buddies up and say, "Hey, let's go have a beer." And they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to deal with you. And it's like I said, my father, thank God, he was in the infantry in the Pacific during World War II. And he knew, my mother said when he came home, he was always angry. And I was just as angry. And he was able to sit down with me and talk. And that probably helped me a lot. And a lot of guys didn't have that. They didn't have that chance to go in to talk. And that's what Ceasefire was about. I had kids call me up, and after watching the movie, and I say, "Thank you. Now I understand my dad a little bit better. Thank you. My son needed this to see this and I saw I needed to see it with him so I could understand." Don made a great job. I mean, him and Lisa, I'm sorry, is no longer with us, but Don did a great performance. Like I said, it's probably the best thing he's ever done in his life. It's a shame that his PR people didn't recognize that, because they weren't, they became his PR people after he started Vice. And they felt that they kept on telling, don't say anything. You didn't do Ceasefire. Tell him it was somebody else, a clone. But, he came in for a couple of times, but, they should have backed him up more, because I really think he could have gotten a nomination that year for that. His performance was that gritty. People were crying with him on screen. And if you get a chance, see it. It's, I think Mike said it's playing over at in Amazon still. And
Amazon Prime,
yeah, that it's a movie. It's probably my legacy. It's probably Bill Gaffrey's legacy, and several other people. We were all very proud for having worked on the film, and it comes once in a lifetime. I was very fortunate that it was my first production. Now the bar is up high, so I've got to match it every time. So we're trying to do that. We're going to go try to do a couple films with Adler next year. I just started. I just sold a TV series not series it's for a what do you call it? One of the streaming channels. It's a story of the Buffalo Soldiers. It deals with after the Civil War, there was 2 million to 2 million former slaves that had no place to live. Some of them looked like they just came out of a Nazi concentration camp. And the U.S. Army was getting ready for the next war against the indigenous. And they started forming regiments of black soldiers as well as white soldiers. And one of them was the 9th and the 10th Cavalry. And my story's about the 10th Cavalry and the people in it. And I wanted to take it all the way to World War One. And that's what I'm hoping to do. That once these, we get it out there and it's successful enough, there's enough stories to take it to World War One, where the black soldiers were, proving themselves as American soldiers in that war. Because people talk about Blackjack Pershing. Blackjack was the name. Blackjack was the name that the newspapers gave him because it was better than the real name that he was called about in the Army. He was called the N-word. He was called N. Jack. And when he taught at West Point, the cadets would laugh and behind his back say that phrase to him. But when he went to Europe, the French didn't have any more soldiers. They couldn't draft. They'd have to start drafting 10-year-olds to be in the fight. And they asked Pershing for an American division. And he said, I'm going to give you the best division I've got, the 99th Division. And it was an all-black division. They thought that he was just tossing them out there, but he gave them what he thought was the best from his experience fighting with the Buffalo Soldiers. They had to take off their American uniforms and put on French uniforms. And they had to carry French weapons. And, and they felt humiliated because they were Americans and they had to fight under French authority. But Blackjack's, he had to give them the best he had, and that was it. But there's a lot of history going on. Colin Powell, who just recently passed, is the guy who instituted the Buffalo Soldier Memorial at Fort Leavenworth. And he was there for the opening of it. And he stands on the shoulders of these men who were slaves who became soldiers. Because there was Sherman at the time wanted to integrate the United States Army, but Sheridan said no. They were the two top generals under the President Grant, and Sheridan said no, we can't integrate the Army. We can't have black sergeants telling white soldiers what to do. It would be bad for morale. And they didn't do it back then. Imagine if they had done it back in 1865, 1868. It would have been a different world.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
That. But that's one story I've got just sold, and I've got another one. I've got a meeting this coming week with some German producers for another story, another series called Inquisition. I did this Ancestry.com, and I gotten back to 1350 because Hispanics have 4 last names, and you were able to connect the names and go back and back. And I found out I had an ancestor that was a magistrate, like a lawyer. So I decided, what if, there's my favorite 2 words, what if? And I created this thing of a lawyer. He's at that time he had the Spanish Inquisition. What if he's defending these people? What if he's sent to investigate witches in this town? And what I've done is I've merged 2 genres. I call it X-Files and El Cid. and mix them together, because he goes to investigate these witches in this town, and they're not witches. They're actually aliens that have come down to study us. And he has one of them burned, and she doesn't die at burning. She walks off the stake, and she climbs into her ship and says, you guys are too barbaric. We're not coming back for 1,000 years, and takes off. So I want to have that character that he goes into these situations. And I've got a appointment this end of this week with some German producers to see about getting that off the ground.
That
so
sounds
we
really
keep them
cool
busy.
too. Yeah.
George. So I'm Iberian too. I'm from the other country, Portugal.
Yeah,
but
Portugal.
but are you originally? Yes, that's right. So are you Cuban American because you're from Florida?
My mother and father are Cuban Americans. I was born here. My father and 16 other Cubans left in 1940, I think it was. They left Cuba to go join the RAF. And while he was on the way there, he stopped in Canada, and they were talking to joining the RCAF. And then they sent over to the UK, where they flew planes bombing the Germans during the day or at night. And then when Pearl Harbor came, an American friend of his said, hey, we've been flying against the Germans for like 2 years. Let's go join the American Air Corps. So his next leave, he went to New York, and he signed up to join the Army Air Corps. And they told him, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you, you can't fly our planes because you're not an American citizen. So they gave him a rifle and sent him to the Pacific.
By the way,
not that you signed.
As an aside.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
But then he got lucky. He said that there was a shortage of pilots, and they wanted some people to fly these little, they call them grasshoppers, these little artillery spotters. They're little Piper Cubs. And they didn't have radios in those days, so they would drop line wire. So they'd have to fly around in a circle so that they couldn't fly too far away, and basically call in artillery strikes on the land phone. And they said, do you want to fly or do you want to go back in the jungle? He said, I'll fly.
Good answer.
Yeah, good answer.
But he was getting ready. They were getting ready for the invasion of Japan. He said that they had LSTs where they were teaching him how to take off of they were going to put plywood on top of an LST. LSTs, those big boats that beach themselves and open the ramp and people come out or tanks come out and all like that. And the idea was that he was going to fly off the LST and then call in artillery strikes on the invading beach.
Wow.
They expected a casualty of 1 million dead Americans if they had to invade the islands. I mean, people talk about the A-bomb was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. But I don't think I'd be here. I don't think 1 million other people or more would be here either if they hadn't done what they did. So it's the horror of war.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I know why your alien said, yeah, we're out of here. It's it. You guys are too barbaric. Come out of here.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm from here, and I've said the same thing. So
yeah, me too.
They keep flying around. My wife says, "How come they don't land? You see all these reports of UFOs and like that. Why won't they land?" He says, "Because we're stupid."
Yeah. Would you?
Right, smart.
You got Trump. You got all these other idiots. Would you come down here? Don't even want to take a shot in the arm to knock out a pandemic.
For real.
They've got to these people backward.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just unfortunate, and not even talking politics, but just the barbarity that you're talking about, the wars and the fights and everything. The Inquisition, as you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, and so that's a great idea for a movie, and you came up with it, so that's great. Hopefully we can see it. That'll be awesome.
Hopefully it'll be a good TV series. I've got a whole bunch of because nowadays these series run only about 3 or 4 years. You see on Netflix 3 or 4 years and then they're gone. It's mostly because they don't want to pay any more to the actors.
As they get more popular, yeah, they don't want to pay more.
All of a sudden, it's like it's going to be interesting what happens with this Squid Game thing. Is there going to be a Squid Game 2?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Usually the Koreans don't do it, but if Netflix comes up to them and says, "Hey, more money," they're just like everybody else. Money talks, right?
Yeah. Everybody turns into Monty Hall. Then let's make a deal.
It's a real life Squid Game, right?
That's right.
It's so funny. My grandson, the other day, they were playing Red Light 1, 2, 3, and the person would turn around and go, "Bang, bang, bang! You guys are dead." I'm going, "What?" That's not how I played it. They all got that out from Squid Game now.
Unbelievable.
It's like, what the hell? It's interesting what the things that we're going into our society with.
For sure.
And everything.
But I mean, that's why it's important to have so many different voices in horror and throughout cinema. Because it really does give perspective to a lot of the problems that we see that we're even talking about right now, just kind of at the end of what we were talking about for your upcoming potential projects. I mean, that's, I think, part of the fun and interesting thing about these types of stories is the ability to have like a mirrored look at ourselves and what we do. And I think some of the most affecting and scariest things that we can see in some of these stories are what call attention to our own behaviors in a more exaggerated way, of course, through the lens of cinema. And anytime anybody can even get close to that, it's akin to like capturing magic, and that's why like it's amazing to see what you and everybody else does with these stories. It's truly incredible.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell my students when writing horror, I said, rather than show the monster or show the guy, let the audience create the monster in their own heads, because that'll be the scariest thing that you could ever write about. What's in their heads is scarier than anything you will ever be able to create. And it's like I told the guys last night, I've been on ghost hunts, looking for ghosts and stuff like that, and I told them the experience I had. We went to Andersonville, which was a Civil War prisoner site up in Georgia. And I'm like walking by myself out in the middle of the field, and the closest person to me is about half a mile away. And I start whistling Dixie. And I hear somewhere somebody screams out, "Shut the fuck up." And I'm like, holy shit, where'd that come from?
I was not expecting that.
That's crazy.
It's like, think, did I imagine that? But I heard the voice so clear, like it was 5 feet away from me. And there's nobody near me for about half a mile.
Ooh.
And it was just unbelievable. I took a picture. I went down to I told the guys, I went down to the hospital area, and I told everybody a tin hut. And then I took a digital picture, and there had to be 40 orbs in that picture. And it was just like, my wife couldn't believe it. She said, "You made this up." I said, "No, look at the picture. It's a digital camera. It shot what was there and everything." So it's, I believe something's out there. And I think, if you're going to write a horror story, like the ghost story I'm writing about, or the ghost story I wrote about in Sunnyland, you have to experience it. You have to actually see, whether you believe it or not, you have to feel the fear. If you cannot feel that fear, how the hell are you going to write about it? Or how the hell are you going to direct it? I mean, don't go out and kill someone because, you got what do you call it? A killer in your story. But just the idea of the fear of ghosts or whatever, monsters or whatever, you have to feel that fear. And then you can translate it better. And that's, I think, horror films, to me, I hate the teenage horror film. That commercial about the kids that are hiding. And,
that's a funny one. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go in the car. It's, oh no, let's not get in the car. Let's go behind the sawmill or the blades. You know, it's like I can't stand those 13 ways to kill a teenager. That's what I call them. 13 ways to kill a teenager and put in 40 gallons of blood. That's not a horror film. You know, a horror film is something that, you know, the hair in your arms raise up as you're watching it and you're listening to it. Okay, that's another thing too, is the sound. The sound can be sometimes just as horrendous as what you see visually.
Absolutely.
That was interesting. The other guy was talking, Paul was talking about the music and this and that. Yeah, if you can get that, if you can use the music, I mean, look at the movie The Exorcist. That music of the bells to this day probably gives a lot of people, you know, a little twinge when they hear it. And they go, ooh, The Exorcist. Or even Jaws, the doom of Jaws. You know, you lean up and go, oh shit.
All right, George. Indeed. All right, George, we appreciate you for joining us. That is fantastic. We're looking forward to all that other stuff that you are working on, and hopefully it'll come out sooner or later. But until then, we do have Dark Dreams and Shallow Grave, both on IndieScream's. And also, I recommend everybody purchase Shallow Graves from Vinegar Syndrome. Fantastic remastering. It's unbelievable. And they get a great director's commentary as well as interview by you as well. So we appreciate your time.
I'm on Facebook under Magic City Film and Entertainment, so they can see what's coming up.
Awesome.
Excellent.
We got a bunch of links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. I know I was a ghost for a little bit because I'm doing double duty tonight. So
not just because you're very pale.
Yeah, I know. Matter of fact, I got to hop back over there. And a matter of fact, Brandon, if you want to join us for that, we could use you if you got time.
Sure. I don't know what it is, but I'm game.
Sounds good. With that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye, George.
Take care.
Thanks.